In this video, a great gravel route at Fort William. Fast forest roads and sinuous single track come together in some superb riding at the home of Scottish mountain biking.
This ride starts at the North Face car park rather than the main Nevis range centre, which we'll go through later.
I took my gravel bike down a couple of the marked trails at Nevis Range a few weeks ago, and I made this video, which seems to have gone down fairly well. But while I was doing that, I bumped into a bloke who said, some of the best gravel is around the Cour Loop, and that's what we're going to go and do today. The only thing is, when I've tried to ride in this area before, because it goes out of the forest quite a way, I have got a bit lost and I've ended up bushwhacking. So goodness knows what this ride is going to end up being. Just pause to show you something. What we call the trail fairies have been busy here all the way up and down this track. There are routes like that branching off, coming out through the forest here, unmarked, but the people who've made them know where they start and where they go to. It's kind of the unofficial side of Nevis Range. And it's rather interesting as you're riding up here to think, wonder where that goes, have to come back.
Soon we've climbed through Nevis Range's big car park and we're heading off the big trail map. Looking at my GPS track, you can see we're pretty much doing a lap of the forest, heading to the far eastern end, and that short out and back there will become clear later. There's a link to my Komoot GPS track in the video description, and it might be handy because when I was searching for the Cour Loop, I couldn't find a decent map or GPS track.
Well, that signpost's a good find. It's the first time I've seen anything that actually mentions the Cour. I probably should say I'm not a huge fan of riding on forestry roads like this, nor am I particularly keen on the made trails, although I did enjoy the ones I rode a couple of weeks ago here at Nevis Range. I prefer being out in the mountains and just trying to link routes together. Find that far more exciting. But it has to be said that during lockdown I have exhausted most, not all, but most of the options in my immediate stay-at-home area. So coming here is different and enjoyable so far. You've seen the word Cour now on a couple of signs. When I first heard it, I wondered if it was cœur, as in the French for heart, but obviously it's spelt differently. So as I should have expected, it's actually from Gaelic, and the Gaelic word, which I won't attempt to pronounce, means pit. So the Cour Loop is actually the loop of the pit. Okay, well, slight confusion now on my behalf. There's a sign here which says the Cour that way, and it looks like a single track mountain bike route, and my GPS has me staying on the fire road. I think we'll go the mountain bike way.
That turned out to be an excellent decision, the single track taking me to the higher parts of the Cour River.
This route is so level it feels like a continuation of the Puggy Line, the old narrow gauge railway that was built for the aluminium works.
When it reaches the Cour River, the easy single track swings downhill and picks up speed.
Well, that was fantastic. I got quite muddy. According to the signs, the Cour continues that way, and we will ride on that later, but there's a top loop we're going to add on here, and that takes us up in towards the grey corries. Just an extra loop and a little surprise up there.
I'd noticed single stripped trees are often left standing after a forest has been cleared. I checked why, and most likely these are left as high perches for birds of prey. But also it's because deadwood of different types and in different states of decay is an important part of an ecosystem. We're now at the far point of this ride, and we've left the main forest on an out and back diversion.
There is a well-known character in Loch Harbour who everybody's heard of, but I have never met until right now. Meet the wee minister.
He is thought to be the Reverend John Mackintosh.
There was a stone version of this statue here since the 1900s, but it was destroyed in 1970. Then, 10 years ago, the local tourism group thought they ought to replace it, so they got a champion woodcarver to create this fella.
Back to the main trail and quickly back to the Cour River descent. And to think I was worried this was all going to be boring forest road. There are several turn-offs along the way back to Nevis Range, but I'm heading right to the bottom.
Well, looking at the map, I'm now on a straight shot to home, about 5 miles. There's a series of roads through the forest, all kind of parallel with this one, which is at the bottom. And over there's a railway line which is also parallel with this, and behind that the A82, which is really busy and you might be able to hear. In an emergency I'd ride that, but it would need to be a real emergency because that's not a pleasant road. This has been an excellent out-and-out gravel ride. It was great to start somewhere different at the North Face car park, and almost from the get-go the forest roads were fast, smooth and really made for this sort of bike. One of the things that worked great about this ride is the variety. At that signpost to the Cour, when I wasn't sure whether it would go onto the mountain bike trail, that was an excellent idea because that changed the whole nature of the second part of this ride. And then to follow that, not only through what looked like an old railway line, but also down the River Cour, that was something special. And of course striking out towards the grey corries and meeting at long last, even if the climb up to him was rather loose. Finally I could say hello to the wee minister. If this route appeals and you're heading this way when restrictions allow, then there's a link in the video description to the mapping on Komoot. If you've enjoyed the video, it'd be fantastic if you'd give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.